9440. 4405. 944405. 05.
Hello and welcome. I'm Jon Garlick and I'm here with the Sheriff of Calhoun County, Matthew Wade, and this is Calhoun County's Most Wanted. Morning, Sheriff.
Always good to be on the show, John. I tell you what, spring is in, not spring, fall. A little spring in my step, but fall air has been super nice. I tell you what, in the sheriff's office, things have been going really nice there too.
Sheriff's going well. Look, you got one.
Yeah, we got one arrest, brings our count up to 5,200, all because somebody's willing to help us out, and we truly appreciate that.
5,200 people arrested since this show began. Now, you got a lot of deputies on the road.
We do, and you know, we've past several years we've kind of been struggling with hiring people, but we're on a serious uptick. And if you're wanting to get into law enforcement, now is the time. The Calhoun County Commission just raised starting pay to a deputy sheriff to $41,000 a year, and we only have a couple of spots left. So if you're interested in being a difference maker, please come give us an application and get an interview.
That's outstanding pay.
It is outstanding pay, and you're guaranteed a raise every year. And actually, since October the 1st of 2016, when I become sheriff, the county commission's really raised the pay for deputies over 20%.
Really?
Yeah. So it's we don't give them enough credit sometimes. So you want a rewarding career? Come check us out.
Well, thank you to the County Commission and to our Sheriff, Matthew Wade. And we're going to be right back here with the first half of the lineup and a really fun guest for us here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. Welcome to this week's edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted. Our lineup brought to you this week by Abe's Ace Bail Bonds. Abe's Ace Bail Bonds located in Heflin, Cleburne County, 256-463-1824, and in Calhoun County, 256-831-0074. First up in our lineup this week, Tabitha Bishop. Miss Bishop, last known to be living in Anniston, she's wanted for possession of marijuana second. And take a look at Michael Woodall. Mr. Woodall, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted for possession of a controlled substance. And this is Anthony Johnson. Mr. Johnson, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted for burglary third. And take a look at Misha Vincent. Miss Vincent, Mr. Vincent, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted for trafficking in a controlled substance. And this is Angela Brady. Miss Brady, last known to be living in Anniston, she's wanted for burglary third. And that's it for the first half of the lineup. Stay tuned for the second half later in the show. Welcome back. We hope you saw somebody in that half of the lineup. You might know where they are. If you do, call Sheriff Matthew Wade. You call, he hauls. We are here with Abigail Mercer, Development Manager for the Alzheimer's Association.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, well, thank you for being here. You know, I'm a whole lot closer to Alzheimer's than the sheriff is.
Oh,
but, you know,
terrible disease.
It is a terrible disease.
Yeah.
So, now you're from Huntsville, so you drove down here for the show, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I did.
That's amazing. So, tell us a little bit about the Alzheimer's Foundation and what it does and what you're doing here.
Yeah, so the Alzheimer's Association, our entire mission is to see the world without Alzheimer's and all other dementia. I personally had a connection to Alzheimer's. My grandmother, she was my only living grandparent, and the entire time I knew her, she had Alzheimer's. And so I actually started this job in February, and I thought, man, what a great opportunity to help another little girl or little boy know their grandparents longer. Right now, the Alzheimer's Association, we are working toward a cure. We currently have 2 drugs out right now that slow the progression of Alzheimer's. And so the ultimate goal is the cure. We're in the starting process to finding that, but it's such an exciting time because right now we are in the era of treatment. With the Alzheimer's Association, we really focus on care, support, and research for the Alzheimer's and dementia communities.
So, of course, Alzheimer's is a form of dementia, yes?
Yes.
So what is the major difference between just general dementia, that maybe when my grandmother was around, we called it senility, before we even talked about dementia and Alzheimer's. So what is the major difference between just standard dementia and Alzheimer's?
Right, so I am not a scientist, researcher, or a doctor. I'm a development manager, but I can say this, that basically if someone says, I have cancer, typically your first question you ask is, okay, what kind? What kind, right? So dementia is kind of the umbrella term, and under dementia, there's Alzheimer's and different types of Alzheimer's, Lewy body, and all different types. So when you're talking about Alzheimer's and dementia, typically a lot of people do use it interchangeably, but some people are diagnosed specifically with a very distinct version of it.
And you know, when I was coming up through my counseling program, Alzheimer's, we would say that if once you're diagnosed, your average life expectancy is 8 to 10 years before the Alzheimer's ultimately takes you out. Is that still current?
Like I said, I'm not a researcher, doctor, or scientist, but we are finding, though, that it really depends on the individual, and it depends on the reason they also have it as well. Sometimes it is completely genetics, and you just kind of are predisposed to that, but sometimes it is because of maybe lifestyle choices. We find there's not really one single thing that because X, you will get Alzheimer's or dementia. We don't really have that, but there are some factors such as your diet, your exercise, your sleep, the wear and tear of your brain in general that do affect your likelihood of getting Alzheimer's. And like I said, sometimes it really truly is genetics. We had a family that for State Advocacy Day, we went to Montgomery, and we had a family there, a mother who was in her 70s, and she was there with her son and daughter who were close to 40, and both of her son and daughter had Alzheimer's, and she was caregiving for her son,
Wow.
who's almost 40 years old. And so that family, they're in clinical trials right now, and the way clinical trials work is one person gets the drug, the real drug, and then one person gets the placebo, and it can be assumed that the daughter got the real drug, she's living as normal, still working, and the son has declined very, very, very quickly. So.
Well, you know, you talked about genetics, and we talk about this in the mental health world too, that a lot of severe mental illness can be inherited. So I'm hearing now that Alzheimer's is one of those things. Mm-hmm. So that brings up the conversation we have in the mental health world, which is we should be talking about these inherited diseases. We talk about cancers being inherited, mm-hmm. and you know, your kids are talking about breast cancer and all that stuff. But we seldom talk about mental illness as something that can be inherited.
You know, and I talk about it a lot. I was talking with somebody at church Sunday night, and you know, we talk, and I use the term cancer. You know, people can't help they get cancer. People can't help that they get dementia or Alzheimer's, mm-hmm. or a mental illness. The difference is a lot of times people who get mental illness, it affects other people because they can't control their decision making, and these good people now might do things that's not in their character or they'd ever done if they weren't sick. Mm-hmm. And so, the state of Alabama, we need to do more, because mental illness doesn't just affect that person. It doesn't just affect that person or family. It affects society in general, and we need to be making sure we're doing all we can do that these people get the treatment they need, so the decisions they make doesn't affect somebody just driving down the road or just trying to go somewhere to Walmart. So I mean, it's a broader thing in my opinion, and a lot of times these people end up in the county jail.
Right.
You know, the last place you want somebody that's sick with Alzheimer's is in the county jail, but if they do something that's illegal that they would have never done, mm-hmm. if they didn't have that disease. So it's a big, for me, it's a big problem. People come to our jail, and corrections officers there to supervise people. They're not trained to be mental health professionals, and it puts us in a bad spot, and it puts that person who's ill, sick, in a bad spot. We wouldn't put somebody with cancer in jail just because they had cancer.
Right, and you know, in Alabama, we're about 2,000 beds short of having all of the psychiatric beds necessary to treat those folks that have severe mental illness.
Well, those 2,000 beds are being utilized, but they're being utilized in county jails where they're not getting treatment, and the people supervising them are corrections officers, not trained medical professionals, and that's a truly a bad thing that's happening in Alabama. If it was in Bryce and people were mistreating people in Bryce, it'd be an uproar. But as long as they're in a county jail and out of people's hair, it's okay, and it's not okay.
Well, we need to spread the word to educate people to talk about what diseases, whether they be psychological or medical, that can be inherited. Fortune favors the prepared mind. If I know that Alzheimer's runs in my family, then I'm going to be doing the extra things I need to do to be careful with it and to catch it earlier so that maybe some of these new medications can have a big impact. Well, we're going to take a break, and when we get back, we're going to talk more about the Alzheimer's Association, but we have the second half of our lineup for you here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. And welcome to the second half of our lineup. First up this half, Kevin Christian. Mr. Christian, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for possession of a forged instrument, second. And this is Shedrick Varner. Mr. Varner, last known to be living in Jacksonville. He's wanted for robbery, third. Take a look at Mary Moody. Miss Moody, last known to be living in Oxford. She's wanted for fraudulent use of a credit card. And this is James Williams. Mr. Williams, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for theft of property first. And meet Amanda Turley. Miss Turley, last known to be living in Ohatchee. She's wanted for possession of a controlled substance. And that's it for our lineup this week. If you have any information on the whereabouts of these folks, please call Crime Stoppers. That number 1-833-251-7867. And welcome back. We hope you saw somebody in the second half of the lineup. You might know where they are. If you do, call the Sheriff's Office, call Crime Stoppers, call Sheriff Matthew Wade. You call, he hauls. We're here with Abigail Mercer, Development Manager at the Alzheimer's Foundation. Now, as Development Manager, you're in charge of fundraising.
Yes.
Right?
So I'm in charge of the Walk to End Alzheimer's for Huntsville, the Shoals, and East Central Alabama, the wonderful area of East Central Alabama. So Oxford, Jacksonville, Gadsden, Anniston, all the above. So yeah.
Is that the walk you're talking about? Is it you walk from Huntsville down to here? You made it sound like it's a long
it's
walk.
a casual stroll at Jacksonville State University on October 15th.
Okay.
It is very, very casual, but the way the Alzheimer's Association is able to do caregiver support groups and a 24/7 helpline and provide the services and resources and search for a cure is through our Walk to End Alzheimer's. That's how we raise the money to be able to do what we do and give these resources to our communities.
So how does that work?
Yeah, so my role in the Alzheimer's Association, I go into communities, I go into businesses, I go into groups and organizations, and I ask them to partner with me through sponsorship, through creating teams for the walk, fundraising teams for the walk. I go into churches and any group that is willing to hear, I go in and ask them to partner with our mission and ask them to donate or fundraise or sponsor in order to be able to spread our cause and be able to provide the resources to this local community.
Okay, and you work with the East Alabama Regional Planning Commission, is that what
So
you're working with?
East Alabama Regional Planning Commission, their program Alabama Cares is our local presenting sponsor, and they have been our local presenting sponsor for a while now. They have great resources for caregivers, for those with Alzheimer's and dementia, and they are really the local hub here in this area.
East Alabama Planning Commission does wonderful things for our community. They really do.
Yes, for sure.
So if somebody is got a family member that has Alzheimer's, or they're concerned that it runs in their family, would they contact the Alzheimer's Association or the East Alabama? Alabama Cares, whatever that is.
Yes, they can definitely do both. On the Alzheimer's Association level, what I would suggest is to reach out to our 24/7 helpline with multiple languages. That number is 800-272-3900. That is minimum master's level clinicians and social workers, completely no cost because we're doing the Walk to End Alzheimer's. And you can call for literally anything. Nothing is too small or too big for them. You could say, hey, Abigail Mercer just said call this number. What can you guys help me with, or what can I talk through? All the way up to, hey, my loved one is showing signs. What are the next steps I need to take? All the way up to end of life. And then with Alabama Cares, with their program, they are local, on the ground resources for this community. They have so many helpful resources for this community. And so if they're looking for a face to talk to, Alabama Cares is a great resource.
So what kind of resources are here locally?
For local resources, we have caregiver support groups, we have different education classes. We do have, for education classes, we do talk about the 10 signs of Alzheimer's and dementia. We talk about different financial issues. So basically, or like when somebody's diagnosed, the doctor just says, okay, you're diagnosed, and now what? Now what? What do we do? Nobody knows. We do have, with caregivers, it can feel so isolating. In the United States, we have over 11 million unpaid caregivers. These caregivers, a lot of times they have to quit their jobs early, or they have to retire early, or they go into debt because they have to take care of their families. We really do focus on giving them the care that they need and also the tools that they need. And like I said, Alabama Cares is the hub here for that.
Well, caregiver respite's an important thing. If you've ever cared for a parent or an elderly person in your home, that's 24/7. And
You know, in Alzheimer's, it's rough on people that care for them. So
you need respite. You need to be able to take a break and go out and take care of yourself, self-care.
And a lot of times for our caregivers, it's not just a disease for the person with the disease. It truly does affect everyone. And unless you're a caregiver 24/7 living it, you have no idea. You have no idea what they're going through.
So much stress. So if somebody wants to sponsor a team, like if the sheriff's office wanted to put a whole bunch of deputies walking around JSU, how would they do that?
Yeah, so you can register a team, and registration is completely free. It's at act.alz.org/ECA, and you just register online. It's very, very quick, and when you register your team, basically you guys set a team goal and then work toward either fundraising or donating, and then show up on walk day and celebrate with our community.
And in the past, how much has this walk raised? Do you know?
Yeah, so typically, I think last year, just this community alone raised probably around $25,000. Our goal this year is $30,000. So on Walk Day, truly, I would say, hopefully, Walk Day is a day of celebration. It's a day to stand with those, to honor those who we've lost, to stand with those who currently have Alzheimer's and dementia and the caregivers, but also to celebrate the fact that this community right here just raised X amount of dollars to support our people.
Outstanding.
So,
and when is this day?
It's October 15th at Jacksonville State University. Registration and check-in starts at 12:30, and the opening ceremony starts at 1:30.
Excellent. Is this a national day, so everybody all over the country is walking on October 15th, or is this just for us?
That specific day is just for us, but there's in the United States, we have over 600 communities doing walks on different dates throughout the fall.
Fantastic. Well, Abigail, thank you for driving all the way down from Huntsville to be with us today and spread the message, and we really appreciate you being here. So we're going to take another break, and we're going to have the Crime Stoppers portion of the show and our crazy criminal here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. And welcome to the Crime Stoppers portion of our show, where we ask your help on the following cases. On September 10th, a semi and a trailer were stolen from B&B developers on Highway 431 in Alexandria. The semi is a 2013 white Peterbilt 389 day cab. The trailer, a 2017 black Eager Beaver 52 feet, 55-ton lowboy drop deck. And between August 29th and September 12th, a residence was broken into on Carter Drive in Ohatchee. A Kenmore washer and dryer, a leather sectional refrigerator, a coffee table with wheels, a kitchen table and chairs, a sofa table, gas logs with fan were all stolen from that location. And on September 15th, buildings at Sachs High School were broken into. An Easton Fungo baseball bat, a box of baseballs, a 23-foot yellow drop cord, and a spool of coax cables were all stolen. Suspects were an older white male wearing a blue shirt, mechanic-style gray cargo pants, and a bandana on his head. A younger white male with a long dark beard wearing a dark-colored shirt, blue jeans, work boots, and backpack, and a bandana on his head, and a younger white female. And that's it for the Crime Stoppers cases this week. If you have any information on these cases, please call Crime Stoppers. That number, 1-833-251-7867.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
I'm feeling a little crazy, Sheriff.
You know, there's certain things that we say in law enforcement is you just can't make these things up. Jesse Dimmick from Topeka, Kansas, was committing a crime, and during the course of fleeing from the police, he took an elderly couple hostage and kidnapped them. But he offered them money if he'd just not tell the police or say anything. So the elderly couple, you know, being hostages, agreed to anything that he said.
Sure.
Well, they told the police what happened. He gets arrested. Now he is suing that elderly couple for violation of an oral agreement that they made.
So he says, "I'll give you $1,000.
Just don't tell
don't tell the cops."
I've taken you hostage and kidnapped you, but look, I'm gonna give you $1,000. Don't say anything to anybody. So they're like, okay.
Sure.
And so he gets arrested, and of course they cooperate with the police and say, hey, this guy kidnapped me, and now he's suing that elderly couple for violation of the what he calls an oral contract. So.
Well, he's probably his own lawyer too, isn't he?
He's probably his own lawyer, but you can't make these kind of things up. The best thing, Jesse, is just don't go taking people hostage. You don't have to worry about making those kind of contracts.
That's exactly right. Oh my goodness. So Sheriff, at the top of the show, you talked about how the County Commission has given a bunch of raises over the last
That's right.
few years.
October the 1st, starting salary is going to be right at $41,000 for a deputy sheriff, and you will get a raise every year that you work for the sheriff's office. It's guaranteed part of your package. You get state retirement. Well, after 25 years, you could retire and get a check for the rest of your life. Great state insurance and plenty of benefits and holidays, and you get to work for a fabulous, fabulous sheriff.
That's correct. Fabulous sheriff. It's a great career. And if you don't want to be a deputy on the road, you've got other positions available too, right?
We do. Corrections officers, dispatchers. There's all kinds of ways that somebody can be a difference maker, and all those jobs have just gotten a significant raise as well. So corrections officers are almost $17 an hour starting out, and that's a great place to start. And once again, you get a raise every year you're there.
That's fantastic. You know, corrections is a great career. Dispatch is a great career too, and most people don't think about that. If you enjoy talking on the radio and answering the phone, you don't have to get out in a car.
The dispatchers are the first people that talk to people in need. So they're the ones who talk to them and help them get them the help they need.
They are first responders. Well, we appreciate you tuning into us here, and we hope to see you again next week, but hopefully not in the lineup here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.